Boba Boba started because I wanted to do something different, you know. We all grew up here in Perth as Asian Australians. We go to the local bubble tea store, which back then was quite rare.
The fact is, bubble tea is definitely here to stay, right? And it's getting bigger and bigger,
Yeah, it is.
right?
And when we first opened, I thought I was only going to see Asians come through. You know, like the Asian community really rallied behind us because of our product. I just couldn't dampen my entrepreneurial spirit. I really liked business. And I think that as much as I try to quieten those noises down in my head, the louder they became. So my parents came here as refugees. I think growing up, they tried to provide as much as they could. And I did the best that I could, you know. It's always like, I wonder what this door will open. You know, if we do this, maybe we can do that, you know. Like challenging ourselves to push the boundary where we're uncomfortable, because that's where we grow.
In this episode, I sit down with Angela Tran, CEO and founder of Boba Boba, Australia's fastest growing bubble tea brand. As the driving force behind Boba Boba, I am incredibly excited to share her entrepreneurial journey with you as she lets us in behind the scenes of how this electrifying company evolved from just an idea in her head to over 10 physical branches in just 3 years. In addition to her business successes, we also dive into her origin story, from humble immigrant beginnings growing up in Australia to her first footings as a business owner, and how she initially struggled and now thrives as an inspiring female Asian entrepreneur. So, grab yourself a bubble tea, relax, get comfortable, and please enjoy this episode of The Way with Cheech Foo featuring Angela Tran. Welcome, Angela, to The Way with Cheech Foo. How are ya?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. How's it been? Like, you know, it's been a while. We had a bit of a chat, obviously, kind of leading up to this the process of getting you onto the show, right? How's things with you?
Yeah, it's been hectic. It's been quite busy, actually.
Yeah.
We've finally scheduled this in, and I'm so
Yes.
happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much for coming. And look, before we get started, right, I can see that there's a couple of really cool boba cups over here. So why don't we get started with that, right? Because this is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. So walk us through this. So what is this? What do we have in front of us, right? And how do I actually,
So
drink this
this
boba?
is a bubble tea.
Yes.
Comes in like a medium large cup.
Yeah.
It has a seal on top.
Yeah.
And the straw. This is a big straw. It has a slanted edge, so
Yep.
then you can pierce through the top.
Good. Cool. So let's take this one off. Cool. Fantastic. So the slanted edge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you want to apply as much pressure as possible with, you know, it's the most nostalgic sound.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then you're going to pierce it.
Before you do that, right, is it typical for one to actually shake the bubble tea, or how does that work?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So you've got layers in this bubble tea. So you've
Correct.
got toppings, drink, and ice. You want it to all blend together.
So just a bit of a shake,
Yeah.
right?
Just like that.
Cool, done.
And now
Yep.
aim for the middle
Aim for the middle,
and pop.
pop. Okay. Did it
Yeah.
from the master herself. Beautiful. I'm gonna take a quick sip. This is actually my favorite flavor. So this is, I believe, the pandan flavor
Yes.
that we got. So let me just try. Oh, I love it. Just like the first time I had it. I think it was maybe about a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
Up at the Morley store. So no, that was really great. Yeah. So this Boba Boba journey, right? I mean, I've been a very avid spectator of it ever since I learned about it in last year when I came to Morley, and it's actually such an amazing story, right? I myself have drunk bubble tea for God knows how long. Right, I love bubble tea, and I've tried so many different brands, and this is the first time that I've heard, right, that this is a homegrown brand of a bubble tea or a boba shop
That's right.
in Perth, right? Which is amazing. you gotta tell me more, Angela, like how you did it and where, like where the ideas came from, why bubble tea, right? Yeah, so inspirational. Yeah, please do, Angela. It's great.
So Boba Boba started because I wanted to do something different, you know. We all grew up here in Perth as Asian Australians. We go to the local bubble tea store, which back then was quite rare. So I'd go to Northbridge.
Yes.
And a lot of the people that started these businesses were from China or from Taiwan. And although we don't speak Chinese, a lot of us don't speak Chinese, even ABCs here, they don't speak Chinese. And when I say ABC, I mean like Australian born Chinese, you know?
Hands up.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I wanted to deliver something that is a product, a beverage that we all love, but in a way that we are used to. A product that is an amalgamation of two cultures,
Yeah.
the Australian culture and the Asian culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what Boba Boba is the essence of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I was talking a little bit with you earlier today, right? Bubble tea as a concept in food and bev, right, has really been the only one that has broken through, that actually has originated from Asia, right? Like you look at right now, it's a $10 billion industry across the world, and it's growing very fast, right? The fact is, bubble tea is definitely here to stay, right? And it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It's a huge market now.
Mm.
And when we first opened, I thought I was only going to see Asians come through. You know, like the Asian community really rallied behind us because of our product. But what we were finding through was like Caucasians, Africans. We were like, what? Do you know how to drink a bubble tea? So I got so intrigued one time.
Yeah.
I asked the server, oh, can I serve this customer?
Yeah.
Because it was a middle-aged white man.
Yep.
You know, and he was ordering through his phone, and I said, hey, do you like bubble tea? And he goes, I got introduced by my little daughter, and they're having a sleepover right now, and I'm doing a bubble tea run. And I said, oh, that's cool, you know. And I said, what do you drink? And he goes,
Yep.
Taro. Taro is my favorite. And I was mind blown.
Wow. So you're really seeing people from all walks of life
Yeah.
coming in and really, patronizing the store, and that is really, really beautiful.
Yeah, I just love it. I love seeing how a beverage can bridge cultures, and I think it's beautiful that we can share something of the Asian culture to other people.
Oh, double down, did on that one, like Angela, really great. So let's kind of maybe take a quick step back, because I would obviously love to talk about all the successes to date, especially when it comes to the stores, right? Obviously being company owned first, and I think now you're definitely branching down the franchise route, and there's so much more to kind of unpack. But I kind of want to really start at the beginning, because you didn't just pop up with the store, right? There was a little bit before that. Like you started way before that, right? Tell us about the real origins of Boba Boba, right? How it really began, Angela.
So I think it began with, I don't know, I think when I was 19, I opened a fish and chip store.
Wow.
And back then there was not a lot of fish and chips around that were owned by Asians. Now it's like the market dominance is, I think Vietnamese owns a lot of fish and chip stores. But back then it was very rare, yeah.
It was very rare. Okay. So with that fish and chip show, was that your kind of first foray into the kind of food and bev sector?
Yes.
Okay.
It was very interesting, and as easy as I thought it was not, especially when you're 19.
Wow. So tell us, because 19, right? I mean, were you still studying at that time, or did you just finish your studies and then you kind of jumped into the fish and chips?
So a friend of mine wanted to open it, and I wanted to help him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was studying physio at the time as well, and it is, anyone who's done physio, kudos to you. It's a hard degree.
Yep.
Time Like it requires a lot of your time. It's like 5 units in one semester, you know.
Mm,
And I was doing that in the morning and then running to fish and chips at night time.
yes.
Fish and chips here in Perth is only about 4:30 to 8:30 p.m.
True.
So yeah, we started doing that, and I started to understand or find an understanding on my own what it takes to run a business and please customers, and then understanding stock and ordering it, and then training staff. And especially at 19, your staff are all older than you. So
How did that go down, Angela? That kind of age discrepancy.
they think that they know more just because they're older.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And maybe sometimes it's true.
Yep.
Sometimes it's not.
And how did you kind of like, overcome that? Like, because there must have been a lot of challenges, right?
Yeah.
So how did you manage to overcome some of those challenges? Yeah.
I think I take on feedback quite well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's situational, right? If they had experience or prior experience, or if it made sense, then of course you take it on board. But if it comes to a certain expertise and you've done it, I don't know, day in, day out, and they've only just started, you take it with a grain of salt.
You do. You take it for granted.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying, right? Yeah. I mean, I remember like when I was working at a Chinese restaurant, right? I always tell everyone, and I will tell like, my kids, like, if and when I do get kids, I'll tell them they have to go through F&B, right? It is like the most like, cathartic experience, right? Like when you're doing front of house in a Chinese restaurant, there's no filters, man. Like, when the customers that ask for something, right, and they don't get it right, they get frustrated, right? Like you're the person that they have to deal with, not the one at the back, not anyone else, right? I think it's so important. It teaches you so many skills, right?
It does. It really does. Like no matter, like we have lots of staff that come through that it's their first job.
Yes.
And although they're gifted academically, it doesn't really relay out into the real world. They have to develop those skills, interpersonal skills and team skills. Yeah, I think every child should be given an opportunity to work in F&B to really put themselves in an environment that is going to put them out of their comfort zone.
Yeah. Nope, totally agree. Okay, so 19, you started your own fish and chip shop. So how did that progress? So how did that go? That particular journey? Yeah. So
we bought a dyeing store, right? A dyeing business, and then we kind of grew it from there.
Okay.
From what we know, So like I built a whole menu again, and I don't know, like just experimented. Deep fried Snickers, deep fried Mars bars, things that are trending that the current market wasn't bringing in. We would try and bring different and new things into that business. After a year, it was growing, and it was growing well, and I helped my parents open their own fish and chip store.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you did a lot of testing. You kind of find out what the market wanted.
Yeah.
Right.
Like what a traditional batter, I would put different other ingredients in to make it more crispier, to last longer.
Yep.
You've got like a 5 to 15 minute drive home, so you'd want to test a product so then it stays crispy for that drive home. No one's going to eat it at the store.
Oh, yes. Like, and the more crispier the better, right?
Yeah.
Quickly on that part, what is the difference between, say, for example, the traditional batter, right, and maybe the batter that you guys maybe came up with? For those who don't know, I think a lot of people just don't understand even how fish and chips actually come about. Yeah. So
fish and chips. Some people use beer batter. Some people use tempura batter.
Yep.
I would say that the temperature of the water matters a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So temperature of the water in terms of the fish and chips.
In terms of the batter mix itself.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So when you're actually mixing it, like, is it like a room temperature or something that you have to kind of get it at, or?
Yeah, okay. I find that you kind of mix your own, and then you kind of put flavors in your own batter as well. Like like some people just put plain flour and water or something.
Yes.
You could add onion powder or garlic powder to enhance the flavor of it.
True. Fair point. Okay, so second store, right? Mom and pop, parents. Okay, so now you have 2 stores now.
So that's their store, actually.
Okay, that's their store.
Yeah, I
Great.
opened
Yeah.
2 subsequent stores
Okay.
after the first store.
Yep.
And my target was always the northern suburbs because I know where the English are and they love their fish and chips.
They did.
Yeah.
Where was that first location, actually, the first store?
First one was in Clarkson.
In Clarkson.
Yeah.
Got it.
Second store was Joondalup.
Joondalup.
And third store was Currumbine. So they're actually all close to each other.
Yeah. Does it have a name? Just really quickly, did it have like a brand name, the fish and chips? Or
No, we just went with the suburb
Yep.
name and fish and chips.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 stores in, right? Going well, I would imagine, right? Or 3 stores. What happened next, right? So yeah, what happened after the 3 stores?
So I was juggling uni, full-time uni, and the 3 stores
Yeah.
all at the same time.
Yeah.
And as much as, the typical Asian parent, they want you to be either, in health or in engineering or in law. But I just couldn't dampen my entrepreneurial spirit. I really liked business. And I think that as much as I try to quieten those noises down in my head, the louder they became.
Yep.
So I said to myself, because when we did fish and chips, I did it on my friend's request. I didn't choose fish and chips. I just got thrown in it and I just had to make work.
Yep.
And I said, if I wanted to open a business, what would I open? I said, bubble tea.
Ooh.
Bubble tea is my favourite drink. I could have a bubble tea every single day. I love bubble tea.
Yep.
But it's a Taiwanese product. I don't know anything about this drink besides it tastes good.
Yep.
So I went to Taiwan. I went to the motherland of bubble tea. I went to Taiwan.
Okay.
And I was super naive. I was so naive. I just thought, I'll go to Taiwan and I'll learn how to make bubble tea. That is ridiculous now that I say it out loud.
But at that time, you were like, hey, why not, right? Like,
Yeah, it's like if someone came to Australia because they liked Ugg boots.
Yep.
And they'll go to a store and say, can you please teach me how to make an Ugg boot?
Yeah. And I mean, look, there's a bit of like nostalgia with that kind of naivety, because I think that kind of gives you that confidence to say, well, it doesn't matter what happens, right? What's the worst that can happen if I go to Taiwan,
Yeah.
right? Like the worst that can happen is that I don't learn what I learn and I find another pathway, right? So kudos. I think that's the start of like that kind of entrepreneurial gene that's like, been inside you and now it's coming out. So how did it go, by the way, the Taiwan trip? Tell us a little bit more. So you went to Taiwan, right? How did that go?
So I didn't realize that I don't speak the national language, which is Chinese.
Okay.
And not a lot of people spoke English. Well, the ones that I encountered anyways.
This was in Taipei, by the way?
This is Taipei. So I landed in Taipei with my business partner, Andy.
Yes.
And we called a friend who is Taiwanese, but he lives in Shanghai.
Okay.
So he's not even in the country. So we called him. He knows a friend that knows a friend that knows someone that has a family in tea.
Oh, wow.
So like 100 calls later, we find ourselves catching a train into the middle of Taiwan, Nantao, and we caught a taxi out into the middle of nowhere. I just remember it was just nowhere. I was like, why is it just grass and stuff like that? There's no classes out here.
Yeah.
We rocked up to this place and instead of cold calling, we're cold knocking right now.
Okay.
So going in blind. And then we approached this older gentleman who's meant to be this person in tea. And he's obviously in the middle of his smoko, right? He sized us up, looked at us up and down, started speaking Chinese. And we're like, no. So we whip out our Google Translator app.
Yep.
And we're like, this. And we're just showing him. And we're doing these hilarious, exaggerated body language moves. And, like we want to learn tea, And he's just looking at us like, what? Oh gosh. I think we won him over by our determination, but I think he just thought it was hilarious that just someone rocking up to his tea place and asking him to teach tea. He doesn't even teach tea, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's just an expert in tea.
Expert in tea.
So we started with just translator app, and it was just so tedious, but it doesn't matter. Like, we were just so determined.
Yeah.
And he enjoyed the company. So later on, he agreed to teach us tea and what he knew about tea. So we learnt about roasting and brewing and mixing. I think it was, looking back now, it's surreal.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is really, really cool.
Yeah. After a while, we got rid of our app.
Yep.
And we just only communicated with body language.
Yeah.
And one word, how,
How?
which is good. And then if I'm really happy, I say how, which he says it means very good.
Double good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
double good.
Double good.
And yeah, we made a friendship out of that.
That's really great.
That was the journey to our bubble tea adventure.
Wow. So just from this one little seed, like this one gentleman, right, kind of teaching you the way. So you started to learn some of the techniques.
Yeah, techniques.
All right.
Brewing tea, the traditional method. Really understanding it. I think after that, Andy and I travelled around Asia, going to tea farms and just hearing them, just seeing the art, seeing the craft, seeing which areas have the best teas. Like, some would say that Taiwan has oolong, but Vietnam also has oolong.
Didn't know.
Yeah, you should see the field. It's beautiful.
Wow. Okay. Right. And so break it down for me. So that the teas, right? What type of teas are there out there? So you have oolongs, right? But then what kind of other type of tea varieties are?
So I would say the main teas that bubble tea uses is black tea
Okay.
and green tea. So those are the two main ones.
Yeah.
And then you start mixing your black teas with milk or a milk powder, which Asia usually uses. And that's where you get milk tea.
Got it. So those are the typical types of mixes that you get.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's different to, your Western teas where it's hot. We drink these cold.
Well, yeah, I think most of them, if not all of them, are cold. Yeah.
It's not popular to find a warm bubble tea, especially in Australia where it's so hot.
Yeah. Fair point. Yeah, fair point. So you go to all these different tea farms, start to understand the different qualities of tea, etc. Like, what really stood out for you? Like, it felt like you went to quite a few different countries then in your journey, right? So you got Taiwan, you got Vietnam. Where else did you go? Yeah.
So currently we import from Taiwan, China,
Yeah.
Vietnam, Malaysia and Thailand.
Right.
Yeah, so I think we curate lots of ingredients that we find around that we like, and we taught ourselves importing, and we just take them in. We take them in and we would provide them for our stores.
Great. Okay. Right. So you start to learn the tea and then the importing, right? So, I mean, that itself is not really what we see here today, right? So there's still like a bit of a journey. So what happened after that? So you learned the techniques, you got the supply.
Yeah. So
kind of sorted, right? So
somewhat sorted.
Somewhat sorted. Yeah.
I think we kind of grasped onto the idea of bubble tea. We're like, okay, you know what? We went through to these countries. We like these things. Let's ship them. And it's postage at this point. It wasn't even like the things that we do now. So we'd bring them home. We'd wait for them. I think it was like July 2019.
Okay.
All of our shipments came.
Yep.
And we were so excited to unpack it. And we're just mixing at home now. We're mixing it in the kitchen. We're mixing different flavors together. Like, I don't even think any of those things that we mixed made it to the menu. But I think there's just something that pushes you, to really try and strive for this product. Because if I had maybe a Taiwanese background, I would understand it a lot more. But I'm Vietnamese and I don't know anything about it. It's not even, bubble tea wasn't even popular back then in Vietnam. And yeah, all this shipment came and we were really excited. And that was July 2019. November 2019.
November 2019.
Yeah, it was COVID-19.
Yeah. So that was like something that was new. I think it was probably, was it Jan, February, right, 2020, where everything started to kind of really lock down.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was actually on a flight from KL back to Perth, right? And suddenly half the plane was actually masked up and we were like, what in the world is happening? Like, the world's gonna end, man. It's actually pretty lucky that we actually got back in time, because I think it was about a week later, right? And then the border shut.
Yeah,
right?
wow, that's very lucky.
Oh my gosh, imagine we got stuck in Malaysia, right? Which, I mean, in all fairness, there's quite a few good things going about that, but I would very much prefer to be back home in Perth. So yeah, so how did that change your kind of plans, right? So yeah, must have been a spanner in the works.
It was, because we emptied our banks for this venture. And at that moment, it wasn't even about the ingredients that's just sitting there staring at us. It's just the sheer fear at that moment. We were just watching ABC News, you know, and we're just looking at the death count every single day.
Yeah.
And it was very scary. Like, I think everyone was scared at that point. And I don't know what it was, but we were like, well, we can't do anything about it. We don't know if it's going to end, if the world's going to end tomorrow. Let's just keep working on our bubble teas.
Yep.
So day in, day out, we just brewed teas. We did all those things. And I think there was some light at the end of the tunnel around for Perth anyways, not for our eastern state buddies or overseas. It was just Perth.
Yes.
And then we said, okay, there's two decisions here. One, we bin out all of the stock and we cut our losses, or we take on more risk and we open a store. And, you know, Andy and I, our attitude is, why not?
Why not?
Let's just do it. Let's go on another adventure.
Yes.
So we opened the store and the goal was just to deplete our stock. We had a lot of stock, so we just wanted to deplete our stock.
Just somewhere where you can just kind of sell it off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. More risk means more investment. And yeah, we built that store, that Morley store that you visited. I have never appreciated contractors so much in my life, but contractors are a luxury. So all those tiles that you saw, or all those, you know, the grout or the paint, that was all us. We built that store with our hands.
Oh, no way. So you actually did it all by yourself?
Yeah, well, we did it with a friend.
Yes.
You know, and our friend knew how to, he was a carpenter. So he helped us and we did a lot of things together. And what would have taken a normal person or a normal build 4 weeks, it took us 4 months.
4 months to build.
Yeah. It took us 4 months. We started in August 2020 and we opened at the end of November 2020.
Oh, end of November 2020. Wow. I mean, that must have been a bit of a journey in itself.
Yeah.
A lot of long nights.
It was. It was that in the morning and, you know, at night it was just R&D.
R&D.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 4 months, building up the store, right? And then in November 2020, was it still locked down at that point? Like, or was the borders, like, were you already open for operations, or was it restricted in any way at that time?
It was on and off, you know, it was on and off. I think we opened, we closed, we opened, we closed. And then at some points we were delivering it out to the cars.
Yeah. I remember that one.
Yeah. It's just, it was unbelievable, you know. So we would, every time Boba opened, there would be a line through the door, and then people, you know, don't listen to social distancing and all of that. And then we'd have to close the next day. So we'd lose all of those people. We'd lose all these things and traction and hype and all of that.
Yes.
But even through all of those things, people just kept coming back.
Kept coming back.
Yeah. And I think we depleted stock at Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 1 month.
1 month. That's all it took.
Yeah, we had no more stock left. And we was just such small fries that at that point, no suppliers was giving us anything.
Are you talking about the suppliers overseas or locally?
Local,
Or?
because at that point, overseas, they're still in lockdown. All the manufacturers were all in lockdown. Their productions
right.
was at a standstill.
Okay.
So we couldn't get any from there, and we couldn't get any from here as well.
Okay.
And so we got creative, and we started mixing local fruits and to make our own jams and making our own fresh boba. And yeah, like it was just, we knew that we couldn't get supplies, but we had to like de-risk somehow. We had to like, okay, if they won't give us supplies and we need a business to run, what are we going to do? So we had to be creative.
Creative. Yeah. And I mean, like say for example, creating your own tapioca balls, right? That's actually pretty cool. So how did that come about? Was it a very difficult process? I know many people that, many businesses that don't actually create their tapioca balls at all, right? They always get imported, right? But it's actually very amazing that you guys actually create your own.
Yeah. I think majority of businesses, bubble tea businesses, import their own. When we were making it, when we were trialing to make it, we were like, there's so much preservatives and colouring in this. Like the amount of colouring that goes into it, we're like, what? That can't be right, So we started creating our own, and that's why ours don't have colour in it. Ours is just that natural colour. It's whitish actually.
Yeah.
And that was what the customers were coming back for.
Yeah.
They wanted that. They wanted that more chewiness, that healthier product. And I guess it's the cornerstone of our business today.
Yeah, I mean, like, when I talk about a bubble tea, right? Like, part of it's all about the QQ-ness.
Yes.
Of the tapioca balls.
Yeah, which is the chewiness.
It is that chewiness.
Yeah.
And I mean, it differs from every people, but there is like a base expectation for it to be that kind of
chew.
That chew.
Yeah.
So that's great. So you got creative. You started to kind of almost like, create your own supply of products. Okay. And that was 2020. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then after that, right, how did things progress from there on? So you still that one store in 2020, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're rolling our own boba.
Yeah.
It's so labor intensive. This is why people import it.
Please share with the listeners, because I don't think anyone really knows. I don't know how rolling your own boba is. Can you please? Yeah.
So you mix your own kind of dough. You mix your dough, you put it through the machine, and the machine rolls out little balls at a time. And because we're not big in manufacturing or production or whatever, we do it in small batches. We still do it in small batches today.
Right.
So we do a bag at a time. If the dough looks so big, and you put it through the machine and it runs out with little balls. And we were selling so much. Let me set the stage.
Yes.
You wait 30 minutes in line. Customers wait 30 minutes in line. They wait 30 minutes for their bubble tea. So at Boba Boba back then, it could be 1 hour wait. And people, yet people were still willing to wait
for the bubble tea.
For the bubble tea.
Yeah.
And they knew, because we did it in front of people as well, they knew, they could see how the balls are formed. And it's all transparent for them to see. So while they're ordering the bubble tea, they can see these little balls being formed. We make them in front of them.
So you make it on site.
Yeah.
Right, on demand.
Yes. Oh no, not on demand. I don't think we could ever do that.
But on site.
But on site, so they could see. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But even though
it's really cool,
the rollers were rolling all day, we could still not keep up with demand. So our day would look like 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. would brew tea. Then the tea has to cool down because we do the traditional method. And then 11 to 9, we open the store, close the store, clean up for 2 hours. And then from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m., we would roll boba just to catch up for the next day.
For the next day.
Yeah.
And that's like every day.
Yeah. We sleep for 4 hours, come back, the grind is real.
Oh, wow.
6 months straight.
6 months straight. Like, no rest for the wicked.
Yeah.
Wow. So So oh, wow, there's a lot of fresh ingredients, a lot of fresh boba. Definitely appreciated by the customers, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now at that time, right? Like if I can just maybe have a bit of a chat about the branding. Now, was it called Boba Boba then, or when did that come about? Like the naming of it. So yeah,
Boba Boba was from the get-go.
from the get go.
From the get-go.
Okay.
We specialize in boba.
Yes.
So we were like, why not double Boba Boba?
Yeah.
But all the staff, we call it Boba for short.
You call it Boba.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I was just while I was reviewing and doing a bit of research about the name, right? Like that to me immediately, like reminded me of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Right. So you know how Pikachu, right? Like they had the sound which is called Pika Pika.
Yeah.
Right. I thought it was so clever, right? That particular onomatopoeia, which is what it's called, like when you're using sounds of animals, right? Very clever, Angela. Yeah, it works really, really well.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we love Pokemon. We grew up with Pokemon. We grew up with Yu-Gi-Oh, all of it.
Yep.
Dragon Ball Z. So we love Japanese characters. And so we made this whole brand around that nostalgia. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can also see it obviously through the illustration itself. So I'm just gonna put it up here. So this is like everywhere, like this kind of cartoon characters, right? Talk a little bit more about this. So who is this guy, by the way? Yeah.
So that's Bobby's friend. So we started with just a girl.
Okay. So this is not even the main character that we're looking at right now.
No. So
Right.
he has his own cup now.
Okay. Okay. So Bobby's not even on here.
No, Bobby's not on here. But then
Okay.
they all have the unique look. They all have sunglasses.
Very cool.
Yeah, even the dog has sunglasses too, you
Yes,
know?
I can see it. Yeah.
All of our characters have sunglasses, and
Yeah.
little kids, they love them. They love the family. We have a grandma that has sunglasses, and our new character that's coming also has sunglasses.
Oh, sunglasses.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. No, awesome. That's really, really cool. And the other thing I would say about the branding itself is that the color is just beautiful. It's very exquisite and it's very striking.
Yeah, so
Very striking.
it started because
Yeah.
we chose a colour because WA was going through a plastic ban. And that hit the industry quite hard because bubble tea, we drink and eat with our eyes, but to cover it all up, you're taking away one of the senses, you're taking away sight, you're only relying on taste now.
Yeah. Yeah. When was that actually, the plastic ban? What year was that coming into effect?
I think we always knew that the plastic ban was coming, but no one took it seriously.
Yeah.
I think it was about maybe 2021, 2022, something like that. But for me is that you always have to be prepared. So if the government says something, it's a possibility it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I had to engage a designer and I said, I want to be able to create a brand that if you're walking down the street and I can't see the words on that cup, I want to know that that is my brand. Like that is the bubble tea brand. And I can recognize it with just only colour. So we turned everything purple. We turned the stores purple. We painted the ceiling purple, the walls. Some of our floors are purple. And we wanted to create that brand identity.
Yeah.
So the colour purple is nostalgic because it's my favourite bubble tea flavour growing up, which is taro.
Oh, is that your favorite taro?
Yeah,
Taro flavored?
it was my favourite growing up, yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now I think I've got a little bit more refined taste.
Hey man, don't diss on the taros, right? That's the OG.
Classic. Yeah, it's a classic.
Right? OG. Yeah. So no, look, that's actually I feel that you really did hit the nail on the head on that one, right? It is pretty much what you intended. Very striking.
Yeah.
Right. So great job on that one.
Thank you. It became Pantone Colour of the Year, I think in 2022 or something like that.
Yep.
And you could get clothes, shoes, hats in this color, and I was like, this is great. This is great.
It's like, thank you so much. Like, you know, somebody up there is like, you know, listening to us, helping us, like, you know, to succeed. And talking about merch, I also noticed that you actually start to have merch now. You have some hoodies, right? Is that right? Or
Hoodies sell out all the time.
all the time. Yeah.
So we don't have any left.
Yeah.
But there's tote bags, stickers.
Yeah.
Everyone loves these characters, so they want to have more of them.
Yeah.
So we make bucket hats, we make socks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's a little cult following.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think building a community and building a tribe, right, is actually really important because you want your fans. Like, I mean, there's a reason why all the fans of Taylor Swift are called Swifties, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it does actually work. They become your biggest ambassadors,
Yeah.
right? So that, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, sure, you might still need marketing and sales, but you don't have to rely on them so much anymore. If you have all these like raving, like, you know, fans of yours, right, they would spread the word. Like they did in Morley, and now they're doing in so many more stores, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Boba Boba is nothing without our community. So we always give back to our community. We sponsor little kids soccer clubs. You know, we do what we can to always give back to the Perth community, especially.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's something that's I guess really special as well. Being homegrown, WA grown as well. So at 2020, you have that one store that's still company owned, right? So they're still owned by you and your business partner, Andy. Okay.
Yeah.
So where did the next store come up? So what was that like? Was that immediately like you guys saw success in 2020? It's like, oh, yep, let's do it. Another one. Let's double it. What was the thoughts on the second store? Yeah, that came up.
We never had thoughts of opening a second store. We were kind of forced into it because we had 5-star reviews all the time, constantly. And then it started to go 1-star reviews because people were waiting too long for their bubble teas. As you can imagine, 6 months in and they're still waiting 1 hour.
For their bubble teas.
For their bubble teas.
Yes.
The line is still too long. And they're like, the 1-star review would go, great bubble tea, love the staff, but the wait is so long. I'm like, what can I do, you know?
Well, thank you so much for that comment. But
Yeah, thank you.
I
But
we need to solve this.
yeah,
Yes.
I think we were forced into it. We had franchising inquiries left, right and centre. Business partners, investors, they all wanted to jump on board. But we just, we didn't think about expanding at that point. We were running after the business. We were trying to catch up to the business.
Right.
We haven't gotten control of the business yet. So we said there's only one solution, but the thing is we hated making our customers wait. So we're like, the only thing we can do is open another store so then we can take from this store. So it will relieve people from waiting. And the second store we owned as well, because we were scared that if we were going to franchise it or let another investors come in, will it have that same success? And that would have weighed too heavily on me. Like, what if it was just a fluke, you know? What if it's just this location? So we took on the risk ourselves and we had to build systems and processes. We weighed everything by the gram and milliliter and ice cube even, you know, to replicate this store at another store. So I think inadvertently we were creating our own systems and processes, but we didn't know. We were just doing that for ourselves to make our lives easier.
Correct. And
yeah, the store opened and we thought that it would take from our store, but it didn't.
Did nothing.
Yeah, it did nothing. we had more customers that we reached.
Yeah.
And this store still wasn't relieved.
Oh dear.
So it's a great problem to have.
It is.
But then we realised, like, oh, okay, so we're catching more customers. That means it should work. Then there's stores after that. I think that it just all came in a flurry. Because
mushroomed.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we grew so rapidly that we were just running. We had no time to really think and enjoy the success or really think about it. You just run. Every day you run to the best of your abilities, I think. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's also one thing about being an entrepreneur, right? Like, how did you cope with such a strong kind of point of success, right? Like, ever since that very first store, like, it's just been like, unprecedented, right? How do you cope with that level of, like, you know, stress and pressure? I mean, there must have been a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, things that maybe starting to break, right? Because it worked for one store, but suddenly 3 stores down, 4 stores down, something else is starting to break.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Can you share like those pain points of growing so fast, right?
Yeah, you have to have a solid team. A solid team that has the same vision as you. Because if they don't have the same values and mission as you, it's very easy to fall off track. Andy and I don't do it for the money. We don't, because if it's money, we find it very hard to wake up the next day to do it again. You know, we're always about, where can this take us? It's always like, I wonder what this door will open. You know, if we do this, maybe we can do that. You know, it's always like challenging ourselves to push the boundary where we're uncomfortable, because that's where we grow. I think the pain points are, there are going to be problems every single day. But with problems, there's a solution. You just have to find that solution. How quickly you can find the solution is, you know, how skilled you are at it.
You know, I think that optimistic mindset, right? I think it's pretty key to be an entrepreneur, right? Because if all else ends, right, the only person that will really back you is yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to have that self-belief that's like literally invincible, right? That no matter what everyone else says, it doesn't matter. It's like, I got this. I know exactly what it is. I don't know all the answers now, but as you said, I will find it. I will get it, right? And I will make it work at some point in time.
There's always answers.
Yep.
There's some better answers than others, obviously. You know, like, I always try to work on a win-win basis, because that's the hardest solution. And I love that solution because everyone wins.
Yeah.
It's very easy to come up with a solution where you win and the other person loses. But a win-win situation, that's harder to get to. It's harder to find in your mind. And once you get there, it's the best solution because everybody wins.
Is there any particular example that like sticks to your mind where you know had a win-win situation and it was actually really quite gratifying?
I think every day there's a problem. You know, every day in F&B there's a problem.
Yes.
Even with staffing, you know, like, you think that, like, for example, we deal with a lot with young staff. They love to go on raves, right? Festivals over in Sydney.
Yes. Asians, raves, pretty much a pair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our staff is Asian, young, loves to go to raves. We work on, okay, how do I win and how do they win?
Yes.
I always say to them, you're young, live your life. Make money, use money, you know, they're all experiences. Like, if I was young, I don't want to miss out. But as an employer, it's like, what's good for the business? So it's, now let's find a win-win. If you're transparent with me, because these things get booked out months in advance.
Oh, yeah.
So if they're transparent with you, they'll tell you, hey, Angela, I want to go to this rave. Can I please go? It's 3 months out. And you just say, yeah, sure. Just hire another person, train them up. You've got 3 months to train them up. If they can do what you can do, then you can go. So it's win-win.
That's a win-win.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So having that really strong bond, right, between each of the staff members, all right. And I think the word that you mentioned quite a few times as well is that kind of trust factor.
Yeah.
Right. Being able to trust each other to a point whereby, you know, you would share your desires, right? And that would allow you to kind of say, okay, here's the solutions for that. Because otherwise you wouldn't be able to work it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're very transparent with our staff. You know, they're transparent with us. You know, it's a rapport with each other.
Talking about staff, right? Haven't actually asked about your business partner, Andy.
Yeah.
Right.
Andy.
So you mentioned him quite a few times, right? It feels like he plays a very pivotal part of the Boba Boba story. How did you meet Andy?
Andy is family.
Andy's family?
Yeah, Andy's family. So they say never mix business with family.
Oh, okay. I like this. Okay, so like is he your brother? Or is it direct family or
Distant relative.
a distant relative?
Yeah,
Okay.
so
That's all right.
yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
We have arguments every single day.
Good.
But the best thing about family is like at the end of the day you're still family.
You still see each other.
Yeah.
Right? At the dinners.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it's such a strong bond because even with other members of our group, we don't ever say, oh, that's your job. That's your job. You know, this is my job. We're so close knitted that we're like, what can I do so then I can relieve you of stress? So we're always wanting to save each other.
Yep.
We're
As
always-
opposed to opposites, like how less minimal effort I can put in, right, for the maximum return.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is actually, to be fair, quite common in many non-family business relationships.
I'm so proud of our little group because when another person gets to, you know, go on holidays, we're like, yes, we champion it because we're like, go have a rest because we know how hard they work. And vice versa. I think that your team is everything. You can't do anything by yourself. Your team is everything.
Absolutely. Like, you know, any brand at all, any big brand or growing brand, right? It's all about the humans, man.
Yeah.
Right? It's all about the humans. Yeah. Now that you guys are obviously growing quite quickly, right? Has other family members started to join on board? So you got Andy and you that started it, right? Has other members like, oh, Angela, Andy, I want to join the Boba family.
I wish.
Has that happened?
I
Has
wish.
anyone actually kind of like put their hands up, or they kind of like, oh, that's great on you guys?
I think they see how hard we work and they're like, oh, that's all on you.
I'm not sure about that life.
Yeah. We have a general manager, David, who runs even harder than us.
Yeah.
He works harder than us. If we thought we work hard, he puts us to shame.
Yeah. Well, I mean, by the way, like, you know, David is actually like right outside here. So shout out to David. Hey. So fantastic. So now, right, we come up to like the picture of the past couple of years, right? What's the number now? Like, where are we up to now in terms of stores and
We're opening
footprints? Yeah.
We're opening the 10th store next month.
Yep.
And we have 3 more building right now, so they'll be released this year.
Okay. Yeah.
It'll be 13 stores before our 4th birthday. Yeah.
Crazy. Like, you know, that is mad. Like, that is fast.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like that is really, really fast. Is it something that you have on plans to kind of try to cover all parts of Perth, or, I mean, what's really the vision for Boba Boba in the next kind of few years? Yeah.
We want to set up our home grounds first.
Yep.
We have franchise inquiries over in Sydney,
Yep.
but we want to really understand how everything works here first. So like from one store, we had stock enough for one store.
Yeah.
Now that we have 10 plus stores, we outgrew our warehouse 3 times.
Wow.
So our warehouse is what we protect because that's the stability for all of our franchisees. If I can't replicate it over East, I don't have that security for the franchisees to operate. So I need to replicate the same thing. I need to ensure that they are well protected with their supplies.
Yeah. So you want to consolidate what you have here first, make sure it's kind of like running really, really smoothly.
Yeah, just like the first store, how we
Yes.
really tackled all of the problems that could happen on a grander scale. We're tackling what problems could happen over here before we take it over East.
That's fantastic. And that's definitely on your mind?
Yes, that's a projection for Boba Boba.
Hey, very cool. I mean, man, plenty of Asians. Plenty of Asians in Sydney.
Yeah.
Plenty in Melbourne.
We couldn't believe it. We flew to Sydney, I think 6 times last year. And we were like, this is Chinatown. No, this is Chinatown.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it just kept going. We're like, oh, We're everywhere.
There's like multiple Chinatowns. So like I fly for business every month to Sydney because we have projects from both West and East Coasts. And you go to Sydney, right? And then you know that they actually have like the official Chinatown, which is in the Haymarket area, the Sydney CBD, right? But then you got to go to this suburb, I'm not sure if you've been there before, called Burwood.
Oh, yes, Burwood.
Did you go to the Burwood, like, China Centre? Like, legit, you stand in the middle of that multi-story kind of neon light decoration center, right, with all the food stores. You would think that you're at the heart of Asia.
Yeah.
You can't even believe you're in Sydney.
Yeah, it's a...
Right?
Oh, gosh, it's huge.
Yeah.
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 There's just so... It's so densely populated.
So densely populated. And then if you go out west, you go to Cabramatta, right? Because I'm mentioning this because you're Viet.
Yeah, Viet Town right there.
Viet Town right there, where the street signs are actually in Viet, right? Next to the English signs, right? Probably like 10 BMT like shops right next to each other, right? Amazing. Like, you know, there's just so much massive pockets, right? I mean, like, just thinking about it, right? I think, you know, Boba Boba will definitely... You might have to change your brand name. It might have to be Boba. Boba's cubed, right? So no, that's really awesome. And look, I mean, I am just so happy for you. Happy for you and your team, right? To see all the success coming out, right? Really, really amazing. Yeah. Now, obviously, one other thing that I also want to talk about is we chat a lot about the entrepreneur side of things, right? But the one part that we didn't talk about, and I think it's actually really important because this is actually what built Australia, right, to what it is today. And that is to succeed, right, as an immigrant family. Tell me how that shaped your life. How that played a role in your upbringing and also like all your endeavors.
So my parents came here as refugees. They came here when they were teenagers. They fell in love here, got married, started a family. I think growing up, they tried to provide as much as they could. And I did the best that I could, you know, like I remember calling up, I don't know, Western Power or whatever it was called back then, you know,
for your
like
family.
for my parents. And I think I was 7 or 8. You do things as the eldest. So I'm the eldest in my family. You do more things as the eldest in an immigrant family than you would do, that older siblings would do right now, you know, in this generation.
Yeah, for sure.
You'd have to, you know, put on your adult voice. And you try to fill out forms growing up and things that you don't even know, insurances and all these things, and you have to translate as best as you can. Yeah.
Yep.
But I think my parents have always supported me. My dad, even though we came from an Asian family and, you know, they prize males and, you know, boys, my dad never made me feel that there was a limit if I'm a girl.
Okay, didn't you feel second? Didn't you feel othered?
Yeah, he was like, yeah, if you want to do it, go do it. It's very tough love with my dad. He's like, yeah, why not? I think that's where I get my courage from. Is that he's always like, he's not supporting in the sense where it's like, yeah, you can do it, you know, go be free. He's like, prove it to me then.
Kind of like, you know, setting the expectations that, oh yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what you can do.
Yeah. He's very like, I think and my personality type's like, fine, I'll show you.
Okay. And Dad, did I show you yet? Is this enough, Dad?
He's very proud.
It must be.
I think that generation has grown a lot to say I love you, hugs, and really embrace a different culture, what they're used to, which is like hiding their emotions.
It's so ingrained.
It is.
Don't you feel like it's? I mean, okay. Can I ask you then? Like these days, would you express your feelings in words, or is like on a daily basis with your parents, or is that still a little bit kind of tough for them?
I think it's I think it's easier because my parents came here when they were teenagers,
Right.
so they had to embrace it a lot more.
A lot
They're
more.
quite young.
Yeah.
You know, oh, like if I see my mom, it would be like, "Hi, mom," and we
Yep.
would hug,
Yep.
and then like when she hangs up on the phone, she's like, "I love you,"
Oh,
you know, like
beautiful.
it's a lot of that now, and I think as our generation, we have to tell them the importance of it. Like, just keep communicating with them, and it's like, Dad, why did you say that? You know, like if we say things like that, or you know, it puts them. It puts a different perspective to them. It's like, oh, I think you should have said it this way.
Yeah.
Or, you know, but don't take it as an attack. Just take it as they've only known it that way. So let's show them another way.
I'm working on that with my mom at the moment. So I think up until maybe 3 years ago, right? So this is like a very typical conversation. Like we were talking on the phone, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, is that it? Is that everything? And I'm like, that's it. And then he's like, boom, boop, 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 boop. I'm like, Mom, do I even get a bye? Right? And that's with my dad as well. And it's very typical. And if I was to do it to her, she wouldn't blink an eye.
Yeah.
Because like you called, you asked for your business, like I've helped you, right? We're done. Like, because we're family. And I think we take it for granted, right? Like we don't kind of share that one. So what I have been working on, right? If your mom listens to this, I'm ratting you out, but you're doing very well. I've been asking to her, okay, so when we finish a conversation on a phone call, right, at least say bye.
Yeah.
Just say, oh, I'm going now. Bye. Right, bye, Mom, or something like that. All right, and you know, to her credit, right, doing very well.
That's excellent.
Doing very well.
Yeah. It's what we're just don't take it personally. Don't take offense to it.
Yeah.
It's what they know.
Yeah.
They show their love in different ways.
Yeah.
You know, and how we take in love is different to what they're capable of showing love. So if we show them how we take in love, then they will slowly understand. Some may take longer than others, but you've got a whole lifetime, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, like it's so clear that obviously in the whole ecosystem of love languages, right, Asians definitely skew towards acts of service.
Yes.
Right, that's like our ultimate love language, right? Like for example, even if like maybe you or your sibling or maybe your parents and you get into a fight, etc., right? But then you come home one day and then the dinner's all ready, right? The food's set, right? No words need to be said, right? Like, you know, oh, there's your favorite meal there. Obviously, someone cooked it, right? And you know, you didn't have to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think increasing that words of affirmation.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that we have to work on, Angela.
It's a work in progress. Very
Absolutely, absolutely. We've got to keep at it.
I don't think my dad's going to say sorry yet.
That is probably the biggest one.
That's the
right. I think apologizing, right? Like, you know, it's like unless like, you know, I don't know, the meteor hit the earth, right? And something catastrophic happens. No Asian parent would say that.
Just recognize what is a sorry to them. He'll bump into me when I walk past. That's his sorry.
That's his sorry.
And I'm like, oh, here I go, folding again. But understand that. I think that's the love language that he's trying to portray to you. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your immigrant story now. Like being an Asian entrepreneur and kind of going through and growing such a successful business, right? How has that impacted your journey, being an Asian entrepreneur in Australia? Any goods, any bads, right? What's the journey been?
I think being a woman, opening a business and scaling it the way that we have been doing it, it draws a lot of attention from our community. The Asian community reaches out and a lot of people reach out and say, oh, I'm so proud of you. And I think...
So positive connotations.
Yeah.
We're talking about love.
Of course,
love
They rally behind us. They support us by drinking our bubble teas. They get out of their way just to go to a Boba Boba store. And it drives me. It drives me because I want to represent them. I sit there in franchising and a lot of it is older Caucasian men and I feel out of place. I feel really out of place. But having the courage and the bravery to sit there and know that, look, I'm paving a way and I'm showing other young girls that it is a possibility, and that gives me strength. And whatever advice or things that I've encountered, I can share it with them, and it makes them less scared. I think representation is everything.
Did they treat you differently?
Probably because of my age.
So it's more age rather than anything else.
Yeah, it's not gender, but there is not a lot of women in there at all. But it's not gender, it's not race, it's age. Because it's a lot of people are stuck with the mentality, I'm older than you, I know more than you. And sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. You know, my managers, some are in like 19, and I would say they know and they're more capable of a lot of 30-year-olds. They know the business inside out, you know. And in this day and age, what's trending on TikTok, what sells, how sales are done now, it's different. The generations are changing, like everything's changing. So maybe I have something to bring to the table that they might want to hear, and they're actually starting to open up to it. Technology and older people, they're grabbing onto it now.
Takes a while
Yeah.
to come around, right?
Yeah.
But when they do, right, they realize it's a completely different world.
Yeah. A positive that came from COVID is you can see like grandpas going up to the kiosk and scanning their membership because it's a QR. They know what a QR code is now.
Yep. I still remember pre-COVID, right, when we're trying to get people into meetings, right? Like you talk about video conferencing, like, you know, before Zoom, there was like Skype and whatever else. None of them knew how to use it. Like I had to like literally go face to face and visit these clients every day across Perth. Boom, COVID happens, right? And within a span of 3-4 months, ooh, magic. Everyone knows how to use Zoom. And I was like, hell yes. Amazing. So I totally get you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that COVID phenomenon like really changed, like, you know, the way we interact. It's that experiential factor, right?
Yeah. You're forced to do it, so you have to learn it.
I mean, it probably sped up an entire decade. Like, and I think it's actually an amazing thing, especially for companies like Boba Boba and for us that actually leverage tech, right? Because tech equals efficiency, amongst all that other things. I completely agree. I think it's a huge plus.
Yeah. They have PayPass on their phones now.
Yep.
Which is great to see, you know, embracing technology.
Yeah, no, it's really, really great. So look, I mean, that's amazing. Like, you know, what you've done so far, right? Thank you so much for really sharing your entire journey, right? I'm just looking at the time here. We went for a very long time, which I love, by the way. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. No, this is really great. I mean, definitely down the track, right? Once things, you know, have progressed, and I would love to get you back on for a second part, right? If you're down for that.
Yeah, no worries. It's my pleasure.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, especially with all these things happening around you, for you to come in and really share your story. And I have no doubt, Angela, right? The people who are listening on this show, they're going to get so much out of it, right? It's such a beacon of inspiration. So really thank you so much for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Really a couple of last things I would say is, number one, if you had any advice, any kind of, you know, words of wisdom for someone looking to start up a bubble tea shop, right? Or any F&B shop for that matter. Yeah, do you have any tips for aspiring entrepreneurs?
I know a lot of people say, go for it, you know, go for it. Go live out your dreams. I think you have to understand the risks. You have to understand the risks and the sacrifices that are involved with it. If you want to start up a business, F&B or whatever it is, I think, and you say that you want more time with your family by being your own boss, I think people don't understand that it's not a 9 to 5. It's a 9 to 9. It's a 9 a.m. to a 9 a.m.
Yes.
It's you dream it, you live it, you sleep, you breathe it. Everything. If it's successful, it's still the same thing, you know?
Nothing changes materially.
Yeah, if it's not successful, it's still the same thing. It requires the same amount of thought and all of that. I think just calculate your risk, know what you're sacrificing. Family time, money, all of those things. So, yeah, ask for help.
Ask for help. Yeah, like exactly. Seek help. There's always people smarter around you, right? That you should surround yourself with.
Yeah, if someone's already done the same mistake, then don't do it. You don't need to live out the mistake again to learn it yourself.
Might as well short track it, right?
Yeah.
If someone already knows the solution to it, ask them rather than go through the pains.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a really sage advice. Really sage advice. So yeah. So as a bit of a conclusion, right? Where can people actually find you? So for the listeners, etc., where can they follow you? Where they can find you, Angela? Yeah.
So you can find Boba Boba locations on our website, bobaboba.com.au, or Instagram at bobaboba_au. We take on franchising, job opportunities, all on the website.
On the website. Okay. So, and we'll put that all on the show notes as well to let all our readers know. So thank you so much again for coming out, right? And it's been a blast, and appreciate it. And to all our listeners, thanks for following us on this journey, right? I am sure you enjoyed it as much as I did. So I'll see you guys for the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cheech.
Thanks.